Hello, this is Lora O'Brien, author and co-founder of the Irish Pagan School. And each year we run a 6-month intensive programme called Meeting the Morrigan. So today I'd like to share with you part 1 of our student reviews that we collected for this year's programme. Huge thanks to students Anya, Annalyn, Ramona, Juliet, Synth, Lisa, Alexa, Sarah, Daisy Lynn, Sam and Maureen. I've anonymised the responses that they gave to our questions as we work through this, just for their, personal privacy. But huge thanks to them for the effort that they put into providing the reviews. What was your relationship with the Morrigan like before you joined our intensive programme? Before the first year I took the programme, there had been a lot of well-intended effort and enthusiasm, but without the needed foundation of understanding the lore, history, or culture, all of which I'm still working on learning. The programme guided me to a better understanding and showed that there was still so much that I didn't understand yet. What was your relationship like with the Morrigan before you joined? The Morrigan came after me hard, like people say all the time, she's not subtle, in 2020. I started listening and seeking knowledge and found the IPS, Irish Pagan School, a few months later. It was a whirlwind and very much the exciting honeymoon phase of my journey with herself and Irish paganism in general. I was familiar with herself in the lore and the idea of modern practice with her, but had not committed to working specifically with her yet. Before the programme she was around, but I was not sure how to engage. After the first intensive, my relationship became more demanding, but also indefinitely more fulfilling. PreMorrigan Intensive. I had a calling and many dreams. I had no idea what it all meant or any real knowledge about her, na Mórrígan, or significant understanding about Irish lore, history and language. I like to think it was good and growing. Casual. She was a deity I offered offerings and prayers to, but in a casual and inconsistent manner. I was in a contractual partnership with her, protecting local land. The connection was a lot stronger when I lived near the woods. Once I moved to the city, the connection was not as strong or distorted by the ego. By committing to the homework in the programme, I was able to restore the connection back to when I first met herself. The light bulb went off about consistently doing the work. That's the devotion the Morrigan values, not some of the other stuff you see online. To have a symbiotic relationship with herself is to see what discipline, integrity, and motivation looks like. That's the warrior path. It was still in the early stages. She had made herself known a couple of times, but I was still discovering who the Morrigan is and figuring out if I was willing to start building on working with herself. It was brand new. The Morrigan had only shown herself to me in January or February of 2021, and it was very rapid and intense beginning to get me to where I needed to be for the intensive. What problems were you trying to solve by joining our intensive programme? The information that I had found before joining the programme made me realise that the Morrigan is not to be messed around with, and that there is a lot of misinformation to be found. I wanted to understand better before making any decisions, and I wanted to have the right information from reliable sources. I wanted to know more about her and why I was attracted to her. Was I being called to work with her? Who really is she? What did it mean to work with her? I really wanted answers about what she wanted me to be doing. Feeling more empowered to fight for what is right. I wanted to know her and how to best be dedicated and serve. I believe the first time I did the programme as an offering to her and build relationship. I was feeling deeply stuck in my life and suffering from years of cumulative burnout. deeper connection to the Morrigan, strong inner sovereignty, committing to martial arts, solid journeying practice, and starting my own non-appropriative business. I was trying to get good info, develop a consistent practice, and connect with folk. I think I succeeded on those fronts. I wanted to understand more about the lore surrounding her. To just know her better, to try to understand what she wanted of me, and to be in a group where others also have experience with her. Basically, I needed to find my footing. Where did you start your search for a solution or answers, and how did that go for you? Before IPS, the Irish Pagan School, most of what I found was garbage. When I started taking courses with IPS, I started getting pieces of the puzzle. It wasn't until after the Mórrígan Intensive that I had a much clearer understanding of who she is, her role in the lore, and an understanding of the historical relevance. The first time I met the Morrigan was through a random guided meditation on YouTube, not from IPS. Looking back, I'm grateful that nothing untoward came from the experience, knowing what I know now about the other world. There's a lot of really bad guided meditations out there. Very unsafe, very unsafe. I scoured the internet and even started looking into grad school programs, but nothing felt right until I picked up Courtney Webber's book on the Morrigan, which led me to Lora O'Brien and the Irish Pagan School. I wrote the foreword for that book, so. Through reading her lore and connecting with Irish culture, so many side quests, I kept finding myself on different side quests and getting distracted from the specific assignments. I found Lora's videos, and it led me to the Cave of the Morrigan, a Facebook group, and the rest is pretty much history. The cave led me to the Irish Pagan School and courses, and I ended up in Core, which is an older IPS program, and my first round of the intensive. On coming to IPS, honestly, the journeying was a game changer for me. To know you were doing it as a group and going into the Morrigan's cave was a super intense experience that I kept going back to for a total understanding. The biggest answers came from acknowledging the fear and moving through anyways. I cannot wait to visit Uav Nagach in the physical this year. In addition, the analysis of the lore by Epstein helped me understand a lot of core concepts that I wouldn't have found on my own, even though I have already read most of the lore already. Laura's homework really gave a self-reflective element to lock those concepts in. I had been unsuccessfully attempting to cure my burnout issues for several years previously. I felt stuck, disheartened, exhausted, and emotionally dead inside. Nothing I tried seemed to be more than a temporary bandage that never addressed the root of the issue. Honestly, it was through books, most of which I would not recommend. I started with general internet searches, which got me some decent info, and some info I knew was absolutely terrible. When I tripped over Lora, it was a light bulb moment. I wasn't sure if this question is about trying to find information about the Morrigan outside of IPS, but IPS has been invaluable to my journey with herself and the work that I do. I couldn't have made it where I am now without the Irish Pagan School. I started asking around on a Discord server if someone knew where to find the right and reliable information. Someone there advised me to look up Lora on YouTube. The very first video I watched made me respect Lora and her knowledge immediately. No BS, no coddling, this is it, take it or leave it. I found what I had been looking for. Well, the internet turned out to be a bit spotty for answers, but I was guided to much more reliable sources. Morgan Daimler's Pagan Portal books on herself, and eventually I was directed to Lora's YouTube. What made this programme stand out from other options you found? One of my favourite things about this programme and every course at the IPS is that they are academically based on lore and mythology. I've dabbled in a lot of general pagan and Morrigan specific programmes, and I found them to be cliquey, UPG focused, and often based on cults of personality. I've never experienced any of those issues at the Irish Pagan School. One just cannot beat the teaching and curriculum that Lora offers. It's incomparable to anything else available. Honestly, Lora. It's kind of difficult to read these. Lora is a damn good priest, guide, person and mentor, and the materials are so very thorough. Authenticity is what you're paying for and getting, and you will not find anything more authentic anywhere. There are no other real options. Okay, there are a few good books out there, but reading a book and doing the intensive are two different things. A book is like dipping a toe in the ocean. The intensive is a swim or boating class that teaches you to navigate and understand the ocean. I actually love that. The amount of content and quality of the content have made the programme stand out. I don't know of any other comparable options at this time. The intensive truly is a unique programme. This is the closest energy to herself that I have ever felt. It's the real deal. Also, I've been following Lora's content for a while, so I know it's quality. The native teacher, the link to translations of the lore, the frequent notes to refer to the lore for how to base your practice in history, the connection to other students was a huge bonus. Authenticity, but also getting the tools to work on incorporating what is learned within your own experiences. The fact that it seemed like a deep dive interested me. It had the Great Queen's seal of approval, and it's taught by a native Irish priest of the Morrigan. I had come to trust Lora's channel and information very deeply. Like I said, the Morrigan guided me there, and I just knew that this was the opportunity of a lifetime. That's the end of part 1. So for more info on the Mórrígan Intensive, you can join the mailing list, where you'll hear all about it each year in April and May. Go to irishpaganschool.com, scroll down and you'll see a link to join the mailing list at the bottom of that page. Slán.